lot of people find solace in Minecraft, and I think I figured out why. It's because, like our own lives, every time we press New World, we're starting someplace new. We don't get to decide where we spawn. It just happens. We don't decide what resources are around us. They're just there. So like real life, we don't get to decide what our lives will look like. We only get to decide what we do once we're already here. And once we're here, we make choices. Did you know that there is no scientist out there that knows the origin of a soul? They can't tell you where we come from. They can't tell you where our souls come from. And our souls are such a big part of us. People theorize that it comes from a god. Scientists believe it comes from just our nature of being intelligent creatures. But I've wondered, truly, where they come from. I've always asked myself that, and I've always tried to come up with some sort of reason. I think since the beginning of humanity, we have tried to find a reason for why we're here, for why we're intelligent in this way, for why we have souls. Some people find the answer they're looking for in religion, whatever religion that may be. Others find the answers in science, and are comfortable in knowing that while we don't know everything yet, we're striving to know what we can. Others find solace in the idea that we don't know everything, and they are okay with that. They don't have to know everything. They don't want to know everything. They believe life would not have the magic it does if we knew everything. So perhaps, for some people, they don't search for the answers as much as others do. But what's fascinating about souls is not its origin, but what it does for us. It leads us to have passions that some people have and others don't. It leads us to wish. It leads us to want. It leads us to want more than just what science has deemed we are for. More than reproduction. More than continuing our species. More than advancing. It leads us to want for ourselves more than we want for a collective. Yet, that collective has always been absolutely necessary to our survival. It's why we are social creatures. We need each other. So, both are true. And that's difficult to think about. Humans are innately, seemingly, paradoxical. Often, our wants for ourselves derive from the collective. When I was in middle school, many years ago, in my 8th grade English class, I had the most fantastic English teacher. And because of him, for the first time, I felt like I had a way to tell my stories. Because his class wasn't just writing essays. It wasn't just reading books. It was writing. He had us make comic books and write slam poetry and make up our own rap songs. Because of him, I had so many ideas swirling in my head that I finally had a way to put down on the page. I sat down once, and I started writing a story. And I got 40 pages in, and I realized that it was a ripoff of the Hunger Games. So I sat down again and decided I was going to come up with something of my own. Something that was not fan fiction, something that was not solely inspired by someone else, but inspired by me and the people I saw every day. And so I started writing a different story. That story I called Crowns of Thieves, the first of 3 books, about 5 very different people joining together to save the world. A princess, a master thief, a healer, a man born of fire, and a very talented inventor. Together, they were able to save the world from this horrible man who brought storms from all over. I wrote the first book in 3 months, and I was insanely proud of it. Still today, a printed copy of it rests on my bookshelf, though I did never actually publish it. I was completely overwhelmed by the publishing community, all of the different options, all of the different drafts you had to go through. It was difficult, and for someone who was starting high school and trying to figure out who she was, I just couldn't do it. And often, I sometimes regret that. Though, most of the time, I decide to give myself grace. One day, I sincerely hope to tell the story of Nesrin and her friends, but until that happens, I have shared so many other stories with all of you. The one you all are familiar with is Shayna and her story in Ender. That one came to me over many, many years of thinking, of wanting to tell a story about a girl who felt like me. A girl who felt like she didn't have any real talents. I wanted to tell the story of a girl who had a passion, deep passion for life, and I believe that I've done that. And I sincerely hope that you guys have enjoyed Shayna and have found her to be like you, someone who you can look to when you're struggling. But above all, I've always wanted all of you to know that you have a beautiful story to tell, and you should start telling it. There are thousands of ways to tell a story, and some are easier to start than others, but they are all valid, and they all deserve the same respect. Most people have a story to tell, whether it's a fantasy, whether it's based on just a dream they had, or if it's something that happened in their real life, and they want to share with others because they think it can help them. Whatever your story is, it deserves to be told, and it deserves to be heard. Some people say that there's no such thing as an original story, but there are original ways to tell stories, and no one else, and I mean this, no one else can put words together the same way you will. No one else can tell the story the same way you can. No one else can convey emotions the same way you will. Because you aren't anyone else, and they aren't you. And that makes your story so special. If all we cared about was a fresh idea, there would never be any new books. We would have run out of them a long time ago. But that's not what we care about. What we care about are people who can feel the same way we can. And we'll make mistakes. There may be times where you hate your story, times where you want to scrap it and start over, times where you will feel like it's not made for you or you are not made for it. But you need to remember that it is yours, and no one can take it from you. No one can take the story you have to tell. Whether you're starting from scratch, or you're picking up from a place that's unfinished, like this house, it's yours, and it's there, and it will never go away, and it will lie in your head until you tell it. However you choose to tell it, the story is yours, and it will always be yours. Now go share it with the world.